rucks, and rucks are always interesting in terms of what their actual value is, especially early, because you don't see them slot straight into a side. So we'll start with Joe Pike.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, just on the rucks, very big focus for the mid-season draft. It was 2 or 3 counts ago that I think there was about 11 rucks picked up out of 20 odd picks, and then the last few years we've also seen similar trends, not as high, but still a lot of rucks picked. And Joe Pike is, and a lot of them will usually be project options, not instant fixes. Not to say, but there will be some clubs probably looking at instant fixes for their ruck group though, just given it's a few that are battling on the injury front. But Pike, more of a raw ruck option, still 24.4 hitouts, 15.2 disposals, 3.8 tackles a game. So not only working really well in the air, but once the ball hits the deck, applying a lot of pressure and moving the ball a lot as well. And another one that's just performing really well for the Geelong Falcons this year. So good, promising young ruck option that, again, will probably fall into that project mould.
Next one will be a bit familiar to Port fans, so Brynn Teakle.
Yeah, he's moved back to East Fremantle. So obviously he got picked up in the mid-season draft 2 years ago, and certainly could be another mid-season draft pickup again this year. So back in the waffle, and looking right back at home in putting up the numbers, or even better than what got him that selection of Port Adelaide 2 years ago. Obviously didn't work out, and they've kind of shaken up their ruck group, the power. But then Teakle, trained for a list spot at Collingwood, just fell short, you'd think. And the Pies would have to be a potential landing spot for him, given they were obviously interested in him earlier this year. Didn't have the list spots to get all their SSP prospects in. But now that they've lost Aiden Begg for the year, Oscar Steen probably out for most of the year. They're really battling in the VFL for ruck options when you've got both Mason Cox and Darcy Cameron playing up top. So if one of them get injured, or God forbid both, then they're really going to be without a ruckman for the second half of the season. And Teakle, AFL experience, still playing really good footy, still only 24, and familiar enough with Collingwood that he'd be a pretty good option for them with one of their 2 selections.
And moving down, so from the Northern Bull Ants, we have Will Elliott.
Yeah, son of ex-cricketer Matt Elliott, who I think some people might have heard of Will, given he ranked quite highly in his draft year, 2022. Had an overage year for Oakley last year, and was solid enough. But I think what the attraction will be this year is how well he's performed in the VFL as a forward ruck option, against senior talent. Still only 20. Another one with a decent highlight reel, a few big grabs down at Kramer Street. So, another one, again, only 20 and probably needs a bit of size and just a bit more development. But, I think a pretty sturdy option for anyone looking for a ruck that can play forward and vice versa.
And last but not least, another young ruckman in Lucas Impey.
Maybe more of an outside option. But certainly couldn't discount it, just given his form for the Western Jets as an overager. So still only 18, 17.8 touches, 35.8 hitouts, and 5.4 tackles. Blows, I think, most other ruck prospects out of the water, just from a on paper perspective. But I think he'd get a good look playing for the Jets in some local footy, but quite a lean ruck option that I think could suit any that just need to plug a hole in that 3rd or 4th string that they can get some time into over a few years while they're kind of set at the moment with their 1st or 2nd string ruck option. So Adelaide could be a club like that. They've got O'Brien, who's only 28. They've got Riley Philthorpe coming through, but they don't. And then they've got Kieran Strawn, who's that 3rd option. So they probably want another one in there, particularly if they want some bit more youth in that area as well. So Adelaide are an option, and then for a few of the other clubs that would be wanting ruckman, Richmond, Western Bulldogs, Melbourne, Collingwood, as we mentioned earlier, they're probably the clubs that would be looking at rucks. Whether it's quick fixes now for a club like Richmond, who just lost Sam Naismith to an ACL injury. They might be wanting someone like Teakle, whereas they still could maybe rely on an Impey or an Elliott or a Pike, just given they've got Samson Ryan as well, who's ready to step in.